New videos every day.
One person who has played and is playing a most significant role in the leadership around the issue of electroshock in Texas is Diana Loper. So I think what we want to do is start with introducing Diana Loper. So I'd like, Diana, for you to tell us a little bit about who you are and how you came to be involved in this effort to ban electroshock in Texas.
No, I didn't know anything about electroshock. I was just married to an evangelist, 24 years old. Been married to him since I was 19, very much in love. Real important part of my life at the time was Christian ministry, and that's what we were doing. And we planned very, very hard for me to get pregnant, have my child. I was married when I was 19. I had Richard when I was 24. Very, very planned baby. Very, very happy about this baby. And after he was born, I had what most women have after a child is born, something which I'm sure that people understand, called post-partum depression. Or to make it simpler, John, it's the baby blues. Large portions of human life have been reclassified as pathologies and in psychiatric terminology like depression and attention deficit disorder and things like that. And so everything is a mental illness, including postpartum depression, whereas it's something that's been going on forever in recorded history, that women have been having babies and they go through hormonal and emotional adjustments afterwards. And so I like baby blues. I like baby blues.
But in any event, you were having a hard time after having this baby.
I cried all the time. I mean, here I am. I'm a 24-year-old young woman, and I was all excited about having this baby, and I looked down one day, and here is this baby. He was 2 months premature. He had 3 hernia surgeries by the time he was 6 weeks old.
Oh, my God.
I was dealing with all of that, plus my hormones were, and I knew what was happening. I mean, I knew my hormones were messed up. And I'm dealing with all this, and I looked at this little baby one day, and I said, oh, he's my responsibility. And I'm crying all the time. And then I'm trying to be on the evangelistic field. And my husband's young also. And he's only 27. And he looks at me one day and he said, you've got to stop crying. And I look at him and I say, I don't have to stop crying. So here I am crying and he's telling me to stop. And I'm explaining to him, just let me cry and let me deal with this the way I know that God needs me to deal with it and I need to deal with it. I've just had a baby. I'm overweight. I'm depressed, not depressed because of anything wrong with me. It's because look at what I've gone through. A new baby. He's been sick. I'm overweight. My hormones are messed up. I'm going to cry. Leave. Get over it. So he didn't get over it. So he goes to someone and he talks to someone and says, she needs psychiatric care. We need her back in the evangelistic circle. We need her back leading the choir. We need her working with the youth. We need her back. Things are being done. It wasn't the way people wanted it to be. Right. They wanted me to be a certain way. Well, right. I knew that I had to go through what I had to go through. Right. Even as a 24-year-old woman that went through having a baby early, 2 months premature, a sick baby, right. I knew that my body physically had to heal. That my body had to heal. Not my mind. My body had to heal. And so when they came in and they said, we're going to go see a psychiatrist. And I said, you're not going to go see a psychiatrist with me? He says, no, we are going to see a psychiatrist. And I fought him and I said, we are not. Well, this is my husband. I loved him. He was my mentor. And so he said, just agree to go to one session. So I said, all right. So I go to the psychiatrist and the psychiatrist talks to him about postpartum depression and all these terrible things that happen in postpartum depression. And I looked at the psychiatrist and I said, you've never had a baby. You have no idea what I'm going through. You're not going to sit here and tell me what my physical body's going through. And so I looked at my husband, and my husband looked at him and said, see, now this is emotion here. We need to get this emotion settled down. Well, of course, being young, and feisty. I just looked at him and I said, I have a right to my emotions. I have a right to feel the way I feel. I have a right to cry, and no one's going to tell me what to do and not to do. I'm out of here. I walk out the door. My husband comes after me. I'm crying. That wasn't good. Wasn't good at all. Come back in. We talk, and the psychiatrist walks up to me and says, I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you. Looked at me and I said, if you want to help me, leave me alone. And I looked at my husband and I said, if you want to help me, you preach God and salvation and healing and all these wonderful things you preach, then let me go home and deal with this. The psychiatrist tells my husband that I'm talking crazy. This is crazy talk. This woman needs help. Well, I get angry.
Another emotion
showed up. And so I just told him, you're not doing anything to me. So we go home, and he says, we need to go back. And I said, we're going to go back, and we're going to tell the doctor that you are going to pray for me. I am going to pray for me. We are going to buy some hormones, and I'm going to cry when I want to. That's what we're going to go tell the psychiatrist. So come on. So we go, and the psychiatrist said, we have a wonderful new treatment or therapy that we know that if she will do this, that all this depression will go away. And I came in and I said, I'm not depressed. I'm sad. I don't know what to do with this baby. Well, you don't know what to do with this baby. That's not a good sign. So they're trying to work me not knowing what to do with my baby is bad. I might harm my baby. I might hurt. I knew what they were doing. So
wonder what this new treatment is.
So I asked. I said, well, what is this? I said, is it a new drug? I said, because I don't
It's a good guess.
Drugs either. Mm-hmm. But if that's what it is, no, this is something that we called electroconvulsive therapy. And I said, well, what is that? And he starts explaining to me about shock. And I looked at him and I said, you're crazier than I am. Well, that did it. That fixed me real good. That fixed me good. So the doctor asked me to leave the room to talk to my husband. And I told him I wasn't going anywhere. That if what they could say to me, they could say in front of me. Well, they closed the session out. Your hour's up. I think your hour's up. And I was gone. So the next thing I know, I'm coming back in thinking that I can talk to them. And
logical.
That everything's okay. But there's a strange thing going on because my mother-in-law has my son at this time. We took my son to stay with my mother-in-law. Well, usually my mother-in-law would just come stay at the house or the trailer. It was a travel trailer we were in at the time. But this time we took my son to my mother-in-law. Where was I?
So you were getting set up, basically. You know, you were getting suspicious because rather than your mother-in-law coming to be with your little boy, you had taken the little boy to be with her.
Okay.
The doctor and your husband had been having a conversation about what was going to happen. You were noticing this one thing different about how your son was being dealt with. You were expecting to be able to talk, but obviously something else happened.
So I didn't think too much of that. I thought, well, maybe we're going out to dinner. I don't know whether I was in denial or what was happening to me, but deep down, something back, I knew that this wasn't good. Mm-hmm. But I still trusted my husband. If you can't trust your husband, who do you trust? Mm-hmm. So I go in and they said, we have decided that we're going to start you on what we call a series of electroconvulsive therapy. And I said, who's decided? So he says, this is I wouldn't ever do anything to hurt you. Do you know I would never do anything to hurt you? Now, this is the doctor talking to me. And I said, well, why don't you explain to me what you're going to do to me, and then I'll decide whether you're going to hurt me or not. Now, does this sound like a crazy person to you?
You're talking about the doctor?
Me. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, does this sound like a crazy? I mean, I know what's going on. So I said, well, what are they going to do? And he said, well, what they're going to do is